sleep on my clothes on Sunday morning, don't they, little man? You're so precious. Do you know that you're precious? Yes, you are. Yes, you are. You can sleep on those clothes, okay? Don't worry, I won't fold them. Hey guys, so it's Sunday morning, super early, and I thought I would relay what they filed. So YouTube and Google did file their Demurrer. They filed a judicial notice. So I'll show some of that to you, and I'm not going to go over, of course, like a full response and everything because I haven't had a chance to do the research and put my, objection together. I'm also going to file something to go along with that as well. So I'll kind of give you an overview, though, of what they're arguing and what we know the arguments back to that are generally, but I'll do a comprehensive review of what the legal reasoning behind the objection will be when I have it completed. And I'm thinking I can do that in a couple weeks. I have until the 30th. My timeline was a little off because I was misremembering our conversation. I had actually proposed something a little different than what they put together in our stipulation, but that seemed further away. I agreed to it. And October 30th seemed further away than it does now. So I was like, oh yeah, I've got to do this by the end of October. So, but I can get that done. They're arguing 3 main points against my second amended petition. So I'll look at that with you here. And then also just give you an overview of what the future of the channel looks like and why and all that kind of stuff. So let's get started. Alrighty, so let me share my screen and hit present and show you guys this document. So let me show you their Demurrer. It's 15 pages long, but I'm not going to go through every nook and cranny. I'm just going to go through the main gist of it for you. There are 3 main points against my second amended petition, and those are laid out right here. And I asked for injunctive relief, which would be for them to deplatform the 2 wanted fugitives and to turn their identifying information over to law enforcement. So here's what they say. Point 1, they're saying that my petition doesn't state facts sufficient to constitute a cause of action under the Code of Civil Procedure 430-10E or 10E, because petitioner has failed to identify a provision of any agreement that the Google respondents have allegedly breached. That is not true. And number 2, the second amended petition is barred by Section 230 of the CDA. Not true. And 3, it is uncertain, including ambiguous and unintelligible under Code of Civil Procedure 430-10F as to whether any of the following are alleged as causes of action in the second amended petition: negligence, Code of Civil Procedure 52.1, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. She's referring there to the Bain Act, which I'll show you guys in a bit. But yeah, all incorrect. So they request, of course, that their Demurrer be sustained, the second amended petition be denied and dismissed with prejudice. That means you can't bring the action again in any other court. And for judgment in favor of the defendant themselves and for such other and further relief as the court deems appropriate. Now, let's look down here. This is really something that you'll understand. And I'll in the future go over their case law and my case law when I object. I'll do a comprehensive review of everything. So the part here that matters the most is petitioner brings this action against the Google respondents based on the conduct of third parties not party to this suit. The SAP, that's the second amended petition, improperly repackages many of the exact same allegations from the amended petition. Incorrect. Petitioner now claims that because the Google respondents have not acted quickly enough to remove 2 YouTube channels that petitioner claims post content she alleges is objectionable, the Google respondents are liable for breach of YouTube's terms of service and community guidelines. That's not the only allegation being made, but wow, that I allege are objectionable? Let's see. Having relations with your 1-year-old baby, I find that objectionable, as does the law in the state of California and internationally and in Europe and, all over the world, along with specially made now social media and tech law. What else is objectionable? Putting together a folder with nude photos and also addresses, social security numbers, workplace addresses, pictures, all kinds of identifying info of disabled family members of Catherine Richard and her whole family, and encouraging fans that are not so attractive and suicidal to go unalive all of them. I find that objectionable, sure. What's objectionable also is that they know about it. They know about specific types of crime that are the very kind of crime that keep Section 230 from protecting you. And I've been over that many times, but it's just more of the same, as you can see. And the verbiage and the way they word it is pretty disgusting. But anyways, so because they don't remove that fast enough, which is certainly not the only argument, they're liable for breach of YouTube's terms of service and community guidelines. This fails for many of the same reasons that the court pointed out on July 16th. Now, on July 16th, he almost went my way on fosta sesta, and this judicial notice is actually going to give me a reason to go into a little more of that, which I had wished I had done, and now I will. So let me explain to you what that is, too, really quickly. Now I can do that. So it's right there. Okay. Let me share again. And I'll show you a few more things in that other document here in just a sec, but let me share my screen again and show you this. Alrighty, so what this is a request for judicial notice in support of the Demurrer. So what that is it's asking the court, and you'll understand exactly why they're doing this. So all of my exhibits, which showcase all of this criminality and all of this breaching, because you need to look at that to understand that when they upheld 20 defamation complaints against me and multiple defamation complaints against Vegan Gains and against Diane, the victim of the acid and beating attack, who's hiding her child, and but upheld the bitching and complaining of Goatis, Lagzdins, and Marina Abdullah, and leave their content up no matter what they do, that, including the scams, everything else, you know, that's, you're going to see how that violates the Bain Act and the other stuff that I'm citing. They want the court to not look at any of that. They're not going to need to look at any of that because of this right here, they think. So, and what this is saying is that the terms of service, and they're going to use that they've, you know, had many, many rulings in their favor. And, you know, it's just at such face value that they have no liability here based on law, that just looking at that, the judge need not look at any of my evidence or exhibits. Now, why would they need to do that if I'm incorrect or if any of that stuff is untrue or somehow taken out of context or wrong, as they intimate throughout the document, by the way? They're just not sure how they would be responsible for any of this. And also, really, that's dishonest, pretending that someone is only saying that they didn't remove them quick enough. There's multiple things being said in the petition, which I showed you guys in my other stream. Not only am I citing the unfair treatment between myself and other contract holders in comparison with criminals, but I'm also showing that the Section 230 protections are removed because it's child sex abuse we're talking about. It's promotion of human trafficking we're talking about. It's doxing and terrorism against a child that we're talking about. So these things specifically remove those protections and breach the contract. So they breach the contract by allowing them to do what they do, and they breach the contract with us, and in very specific ways towards me as a content creator. And there's a very important aspect, something even just in skimming through this today that I saw in the Demurrer that I'll bring up here in a moment. But that's what this is going to be. So under Cali Code of Civil Procedure, or no, actually under the Cali Evidence Code, Section 452 and 453 and Rules of Court, 3.13066C, they want them to take judicial notice of the terms of service, which are incorporated by reference and attached as Exhibit 1 to her declaration. And her declaration is where she cites her case law in support of her Demurrer. So this is what they're going to try to do. Just look at this. Our terms of service are prima facie. It's so obvious that we have no liability here. Don't bother looking at any of that evidence. So yeah, wonder why they would need to do that. Let me stop sharing my screen. And then I want to go back and share with you real quick before talking to you this other part of the Demurrer that kind of makes the point. Just want to make these main points so that you'll kind of know what I'm looking at here and what they're doing and what I'm going to do. So just one example, the terms of service, it says, did not impose a duty on YouTube to suspend offending accounts or remove content, but rather specifically disclaimed YouTube's responsibility for third-party content on the platform. So their contract does do that, but that contract also states that there will be equity, and there are laws governing contract equity. And so that's where the Bain Act comes into effect, when you can show that they demonstrably over and over again turn a blind eye to criminality that they've been made hyper aware of a very serious nature, which that ties into something else in a moment. But when they overly almost penalize people like myself, Diane, the actual victim of crime from this person who is wanted and evading arrest, and some of this crime is against a child, very specific law governing that. And they're promoting human trafficking and child sex abuse. Once again, those are two types of crime that take your Section 230 protections away. They've breached the contract in multiple ways, but specifically with me as a contract holder, as a content creator, they've gone out of their way to suppress content about these particular third-party content creators and done it in an inequitable way. And that's what falls under the Bain Act also. And I went into that a little bit in my last stream, but I'll explain more later in a future stream. But let's look down here. And of course, they always try to get really nasty with the wording, like it's just unintelligible what we're trying to say about what these people did and how they could possibly have a role. So we don't have facts sufficient to apprise the defendant of the basis upon which I'm seeking relief. So the demurrer should be sustained for uncertainty. So the reality is that, you know, because it's about breach now, it's even more clear how I'm tying it into being about, you know, inequity in contract. But the criminality in and of itself, another thing being alleged that, of course, they're trying to gloss over as much as possible. That's why this is only 15 pages and not 30 or 40, because they don't really have much they can say about this other stuff. These people are committing the type of crime that breaches California law, international law, and European law all over the world, right? And specifically even tech laws that have been created recently with regard to tech law too, and even their own policies of what they do regarding child sex abuse and whatnot. The reality of the matter is that it's very clear, because the judge framed it this time around breach, it's obvious how the inequity in contract comes into play. But specifically also there's whistleblower law related to, you know, we are specifically talking about criminal content from people that are evading arrest, and they are upholding them and suppressing us, including myself, and I'm the one bringing the case. So I do have a claim there specifically for breach, and that takes it out of the context of this thing that they're trying to do. And in another part of this, they talk about having, you know, general terms of service are not a contract. No, but for content creators who are constantly updating and are also being subject to penalization when they come at you saying, you know, we're going to take this video down in the Netherlands because we got a complaint from Goatis Lagzdins about it. And here he is, a wanted fugitive. And I show them in my response to that all the criminality that he's done. And their response to that is to leave my video down. But they left his up promoting having sex with his 1-year-old child. They left his up giving a folder to kill people. They left his up you know, promoting doxing people and promoting serial killing and eating people, eating children. The fact that I'm even having to say this is outrageous. That's what's unintelligible. Okay. But anyway, the inequity is obvious. And we also are talking about a breach, and they say that they will uphold the laws of California, international and European laws, and they don't do that when they fail to turn in crime. When they actually promote with their algorithm, human trafficking, child trafficking, and things of that nature. And when they help someone raise funds as they evade arrest for very serious crime, including crime against a child, the child Diane is trying to protect, and the one that's with them as they evade arrest. It's just sickening. And that adds a different layer and a different element of criminality here. It is a breach of the contract to fail to uphold the laws when the terms of service say that they will uphold those laws. And here they say that I intend to bring causes of action for negligence, but they're saying it's vague, too vague, and blah, blah, blah. I'll be objecting to that. And I did already cite things that make it not vague, but I'll make it even less vague. Like, listen to this. I make the conclusory allegation that Google respondents, they breached a duty to maintain a safe, non-retaliatory platform, but the petitioner fails to allege any facts to show that the Google respondents owed such a duty, nor could she. Indeed, petitioner has failed to point to any provision of the terms of service that would constitute a specific promise to provide specific protection. Bullshit. Dismissing, this is a case that she's citing that dismissed a negligence claim where Facebook's terms of service disclaimed responsibility for third-party content. Yeah, that's a completely different type of case, and I'll go into that when I do my next stream. And I didn't fail to do that, but I can go further. I alleged facts that show that they owe such a duty, and I alleged provisions of their terms of service that constitute a specific promise, including what they're quoting right there, that they claim they will maintain a safe and non-retaliatory platform. Hello, do you consider it a safe platform with him here, guys? Do you consider it safe? Should children like minors consult with him, do a health consultation? Would you be comfortable with your maybe 14-year-old daughter doing that? No, this is not a safe, non-retaliatory platform that is enabling him to be here, raising funds while he evades arrest, contacting the public privately, and taking money to do it, money that could help him commit crime, money that helps him continue to evade arrest with that child in his care. No, it's not safe. And it's something that there are new laws being enacted right now that have passed that will only further make it clear that a third party, even that doesn't have a specific content creator type of claim, will be able to draw attention to something on this level of criminality, specifically where it pertains to terrorism and children. And now it's going further. There's people talking more and more about creating something where also just victims of crime in general, like adults, can be cared for, like Diane. Diane, just because she's not a minor, doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to not, when she's a direct victim of targeted attacks, terroristic attacks, she deserves protection under the law as well. But because of the unique situation where we do have laws on the books related to children, I focused more on the kids. And they have her supporting document in my case. They've been made aware of everything. So this is just disgusting. It's just a mega corporation not doing what they ought to do and what I'm going to try to prove up legally have a duty to do. So in the future, I'll have my, of course, complete response to all of this, and I will have my case law and my reasoning, and I'll go over each point. I'll try to make it like succinct and not too long, but where I can really, make clear each point that I'm making versus each point that they're making. But that's the gist of what we're looking at there. And I have until the 30th. I'm going to try to have that done by the 15th, because the other thing I wanted to talk about was my channel. So I was supposed to start last week, but it's not going to be till Monday, which is the 6th of October. I'm doing a new job now where I'm going to be mostly working malpractice. And unlike when you do freelance work and it's, you have swaths of time where you don't have a lot of work versus times where you would, now I'm going to be having, continual work with a regular workload. And it's kind of intense. So I'll be doing mostly that, but this I'll work on the weekends. So like with this today, I read it briefly. I haven't really read it in a comprehensive way. I'm going to read it in a comprehensive way, make notes, do my research, and kind of get a rough draft going of what I'm going to do. And then I'll, next weekend, start really drafting it and clean it up. And then the following one, I'll submit it. So, and then I'll show it with you guys. So that's kind of how it's going to be. I'm going to be working on the weekends on this a little bit until I kind of have things done. And then in November, they're going to file their response to that, which I'll share with you guys. And then we don't have anything till January, which is nice because that means Christmas can be goat boy free, as it should be. The two things don't really go together very well, in my opinion. So no matter which holiday you celebrate, having a Goatis free with that out of your head, his ideas about kids, his ideas about human beings, not in your space, is great. So in January is when we'll have that hearing, and then of course I'll be talking about that and see where we go from there. The kind of content I'll be making probably would be more along the lines of just trying to make a video or a stream on the weekends that's about something. I'll probably get some better equipment later on, down the road, and try to do a little bit better, more interactive streams where we can look at stuff or whatever if I stream. But yeah, it'll just mostly, I'll try to keep up the once a week kind of content creation. In the summer, I tried to do more stuff, for a little while there, because I knew that would be a good way to grab the algorithm and counter what he was doing, which, as we all know, here he is evading arrest. Here he is, which is a fact. The PZC, I believe it is, article, PZN, I can't remember the name of the publication, but it's in several of my videos. In the Netherlands, 2024, he admitted that he knows that he's wanted. Now he knows. He said he didn't know before. And by telling that journalist that and talking about the crimes, he was fully aware, which is another crime. Just like that's why Marina took down her Am I the Getaway Driver video, because just even talking about it that way means she is aware. That's a specific crime in Germany where there warrants from STPO 1110 or something, hiding stuff and evading arrest. And then you have, of course, the Netherlands, whatever their criminal codes are for evading arrest. So even though that's what they're doing, they still took the time to, most likely, just like Color Post, a lot of these accounts are him. The sock puppet account thing is something that he's done for many, many years. And then you had all these videos being made with titles like that have to do with death or child harm or whatever, where he tried to make it be about something else, so that would grab the algorithm. So we tried to counter that with his criminality again, and put a gob of videos out there. So we did that, and also, titling my video series this summer, The Epitome, maybe some silly videos, but they were about truthful things about him. And really, some weren't so silly. They really highlighted some important facts. So, but that kind of content, I really won't be doing so much of right now. I can't really see fitting it in, maybe in the future. And what I hope happens in the future, besides these case updates and something happening with that, would be, of course, in the meantime, and there, let's just say there are people who have expressed an interest in this case behind the scenes. So you don't know what might happen in the future and where that will lead, because all it takes is, one large party with a, ability to penetrate the consciousness of a lot of people to flip this in a certain direction, and then the company would possibly follow suit, because that's what matters to them, is their image. So like right now, you have a few million people seeing the Rotten Mango video. They're disgusted and they're outraged. Thousands and thousands of them looked at my petition, and a smaller amount, but in the thousands, signed it. So more people brave up as more people know things. And so you have, if you had this in major media, you would then have a larger outcry, and then the company might think, this could affect, with our shareholders and whatnot, and we don't want to look like scum that help people hurt children, so maybe we should do something. So that's what I hope happens, is that something compels an action, or that in the meantime they are caught. The more people know about this, the better. And that's even one good thing about the case, as disgusting as what they're doing is, and as disgusting as having to look at it and talk about it is, and see them possibly do nothing, possibly take on face value that their terms of service limit their liability to this huge degree, and therefore we're not even going to look at your evidence. That would be disgusting. But the longer we talk about it and the more we have it out there, the more likely something will happen with someone seeing and hearing it and them getting caught. And the flip side of that is, of course, is that regardless of what happens, I can always appeal. Once again, that still keeps it in there, and it's in the court system for life. Any agency we report this to, it's there for life. The NCMEC, whatever. And also, the longer this case goes on, the more people will see it, just potentially, the fact that it's in that court system forever. If I have to appeal, and if it, goes into litigation, whichever way, it's the longer it goes on, the more likely it's known about, and it will be there forever. And these reports that are made are going to be there forever, and could serve a purpose. The ones to the NCMEC that I made, for example. And that's another thing to bring up. That's another point made in the other petition and made in a breach of contract type of way in this one. Google historically has reported child sex abuse and says that they will to the NCMEC. Whether they have to or not, that's debatable, because the case law in the book says yes. Same with terrorism against a child. But we're now having to frame everything under breach of contract. So I consider not upholding the state and international laws a breach of contract, since the contract says that they will. And so those are my arguments, basically. And we're just going to move forward. And I'll, make content probably once a week, and, check in on the weekends, and touch base with you guys. In the meantime, I might make community posts, of course, and things like that. But I will be around, even if the content creation is, a bit less, and a bit less of a certain type. And I want to thank everybody for their support very much, and for your activism as well. Even just, watching and liking and sharing various content creators' videos on the topic is activism. So thank you so much for caring about the same things that I care about. And I do believe we will get something done here. Diane didn't survive for nothing, and we don't know about this for nothing. So I'm not giving up. I'm going to keep doing something about this. It's their shame, no matter what kind of words they use towards me, or towards Diane, or towards any of the other content creators or anybody in the public for wanting to do something about this, that's their shame. I have a fly on my head. So, everybody keep their spirits up and know that we will win. Talk to you guys soon. Love you very much. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
Here are some interesting clips of Sv3rige talking about his thoughts on consent, rape, sex with children that you might find a little disturbing.
There's actually this guy called Nature Boy, who I put in epitome of malnourishment. He's actually on trial now for being a cult leader. He said that he had sex in front of his children, and he actually let his son grab his penis, and he talked about it as if it's natural, and it is actually natural. You would always have sex in front of your children because it's nothing special. Sex in nature is just nothing. It's like eating or shitting, as I said. They drilled it inside of your head. Everybody in your life, the media, your parents, and the school system told you that it's wrong. You have been re-educated, and that's why you cannot actually explain why it's wrong when you hear about something such as having sex around children, your children, whatever. Your family, it feels wrong, but does it actually? No. In the so-called ancient times, in some places, it was normal for the mother to show the son how to have sex. And of course, we can produce children with our sisters and brothers. Monogamy. Yes, this is monogamy. Monogamy is you having sex with your family. Oh, in nature, you simply fuck with your family and there's no jealousy. Why would you be jealous of yourself? Your child, we can assume, is 50% the woman and 50% the man. You're creating a different version of yourself, and then you have sex with yourself, essentially, or at least 50% of yourself. Let me just see how the sound is. The quality is bad, but whatever. So I'm not gonna talk about why I left her 3 months ago or something, because I made a Patreon video about it, which you can watch anyway. That's not the point here, if you care about drama or whatever. But the main reason I'm doing this video is because my son still lives with her, and when I left her, I reported her to the Child Protective Services because Luna has been sexually abusing the baby since birth, basically. And I didn't talk about this because, for whatever reason, there's just no reason for me to stop it. And besides everything that she did to me for over 2 years, all the abuse, I don't know how to fight it, so I thought maybe I can somehow ask you guys to help me with it. So her real name is not Luna, of course. Her real name
And so I wrote an email and explained everything to the Child Protective Services, but they just don't do anything. I don't know why. The Child Protective Services in the Netherlands are called online, and you write them an email and report her with her real name, which I will type in the chat now. It's Luna's real name, and she lives in I have no power over it anyway, because I'm not officially the dad on paper anyway, as I've said before, so asking everybody for money, like for support, like, oh, I'm a single. And you know, the whole war between me and her is not gonna end well for her, but she knows that already.